Hello and welcome to The Sweetest Little Life. I am so glad you're here. I am your host, Courtney Hanson. With each week, we will have exciting new guests to grow spiritually, develop personally, and learn how to step into our purpose authentically. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 30 minutes of connection with the mind, body, and spirit.
You can recalibrate your consciousness and your life to absolute success right here, right now, through the world's first manifestation video book. You see, we think in pictures. So as you're watching each chapter of this amazing video book, you get all the positive images along with the audio and then the affirmation pop songs that go into your subconscious mind 300 times faster than any other method. Go right now to manifestationvideobook.com.
Hello and welcome to The Sweetest Little Life. I am so excited for our conversation today. I've been really looking forward to this. And I used to do these fancy introductions and I realized that no one can introduce you better than yourself. And so many people, their story is your story and they relate so deeply to it. So I would just love to hear who you are, your journey of life, and what you do now.
Well, thank you, Courtney. I'm Michelle Blood and I am an Australian. G'day, mate. And I started off as a professional singer since the age of 5. And then I went on to be in many, many bands until I started my own really great rock band. And we toured at one stage for 7 years non-stop. And I was the lead singer and one of the main songwriters and manager of the band. And, you know, we just gigged everywhere and with everyone from international artists, pretenders and different people that would come to Australia doing our rock videos. And it was just, you know, I'd done it my whole life, being an entertainer. And so what happened was I had a near fatal car accident on my way home with a truck driver, actually in a truck, from the gig from Brisbane to Sydney, which is about a 14-hour drive. He fell asleep at the wheel and I was in the hospital for months and months and months and discovered a way of healing myself through, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I started doing affirmations and they didn't work. So I started singing them and making songs out of them, and it healed. I healed miraculously. Just my whole trajectory of life changed after that. I worked with Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Stuart Wilde, Bob Proctor, all over the world touring with these people. And I still had hit songs overseas, and I ended up running Bob Proctor's business from Kuala Lumpur and got him a best-selling book. And and just that's the gist of the first, say, 3/4 of my life. And we can go into the last quarter, which is, well, it's not the last quarter, but that was the most meaningful for me. But everything that I did up until then, we're all just miraculous because of this bad truck accident. So that's just giving it to you in a nutshell. And we can go into the details of different things during our lovely conversation to make the sweetest of life.
Wow. That is incredible. I don't have words right now. I wasn't expecting that. So how did you get into singing so young? Your parents were obviously a huge part of that.
No,
or was that all you?
Not at all. It was all me.
Wow.
My mother said she said, she said, you're a really shy little kid, but you knew, even at just 2.5, you knew all the songs on the radio. Do you know what radio is, kids out there? Anyway, you knew all the songs. And when I was 5, there was a kids program where they had sort of like kids singing. You know, it was like a talent show, but but they had regular kids,
Right.
and they said you could go and audition to be one of the regular kids. And so I was 5, mind you, but I could read and write by the time I was 3. So, I wrote a good letter, sent it to them, and they rang my mum, and she was like, "What are you talking about? My daughter has done what?" And they said, "We thought you got her to write it because it's very articulate. We thought we got you to make it sort of more impressive that this little girl had written it." She said, "I knew nothing about it. I didn't know she wanted to be a singer. She knew nothing about it." And so
My gosh.
Mum took me up there. She was like, still shaking her head. And I got it immediately. And,
Wow.
And my father was blown away because he'd never really heard me sing. And because I was such a shy kid. So that's how it happened. I made it happen. I just loved singing. And I didn't do it around the house too much because it would piss off my sister. But that's how it started. Yeah. They weren't into entertainment or supportive of me ever. All the years I did it until I started becoming really well known. Then, oh, that's my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think it's really good when no matter what it is that you do in life, if you do it because it's in your heart to do it, it's something that you don't need to make a decision about it. That's it. That's what I'm doing with my life. Yeah. And I was just very blessed that I had that straight away. There was no doubt in my mind. So I left school when I was 15 because there was no point in continuing it because I knew I was just going to sing and be in a band, and that's what I did.
So is there a past life correlation here that you came in just with such a mission at such a young age?
Oh gosh, there's so much. I mean,
Okay.
I could go deeply into the mystical side of it, but I think it's just incredible how our spirit takes with us from a past life the experiences that you've had before. And most of my experiences actually was like a singing nun. I had been in monasteries for so many past lives. So I was always going to be on a mystical path, and I loved to make people happy. Even as a little kid, it made me feel weird if someone wasn't happy. And I know as a little kid, if I started singing to them, they'd put me on the kitchen table, it would make my grandparents laugh and everyone would be happy. So that was the main reason I just liked doing it, because it seemed to make people laugh and make them happy. I didn't know if I could sing or not. I just knew that when I sang, people started laughing and they were happy. It could have been because I was terrible, but apparently I wasn't.
Apparently you had something right.
You had something right.
It always amazes me when kids, prodigies, call it what you want, but come in so clear on what their purpose and path is, and like not waste any time, which sounds exactly like what you did. You were like going after it from before most kids can even say the ABCs, which is just blows my mind. With the car accident, when that happened, because I know affirmations, especially I feel like I really feel like since the COVID and stuff, affirmations and spirituality has become very trending, which what a great thing to be trending, right? Like a lot of worse things could be. But I think that we miss the mark a lot, or people get frustrated with affirmations because they're like, it's not rewiring, it's not working. What was the difference for you on kind of piecing together what singing did for you versus just repeating the affirmations, doing like a 3-6-9 method or something like that?
Good question, because everything just happened organically, because this is the 80s. I didn't know anything about affirmations or positive thinking. I was just like a will-powered person that had just been very disciplined and used my willpower to get the right drummer I wanted. I'd steal that from a band. I want that guitarist.
You're like, pluck, pluck, pluck.
Yeah. I would just, even if their band was more famous than me, I would be able to somehow talk them into my band's going to be the biggest, come and join me now. And
fear's never been a paralyzing moment for you ever.
No.
Wow.
And but it's interesting because my family still think I was a very shy person, even when I was a teenager, because they never saw the real me, because we weren't in synergy with our personalities or anything, even though I love them, don't get me wrong. It's just there's no point in talking to people who aren't on the same page as you about what you're going to do, because they're just going to say, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Like my father kept saying. My father actually offered me a lot of money to not be in a band. And I
Really?
just, yeah, and I just said, you could offer me $1 million. And he said, well, I'll never give you a cent while you're doing this rubbish. And I said, well, you never have, and I don't care.
Like, I'll go make my own money, thank you.
Because I'm going to do it myself anyway. So that's, so I worked 2 full-time jobs while I was rehearsing and all that sort of thing, and left home when I was 15, actually. And
So you left school and home all in the same year?
yeah,
Wow.
because I knew what I wanted
Were you
to
on
do.
tour, or what did you do for that year?
No. I did hairdressing, and I worked as a waitress at night.
Okay.
I did a hairdressing apprenticeship while I'm rehearsed, because I'm still pretty young and I haven't got a band together yet. So I'm, just trying out different things like musicals, and I realized that I wasn't that. I'd done dancing my whole life, tap dancing and everything, but I realized it wasn't that. I was rock and roll. I wasn't going to be, I didn't like being on like a musical. It was just,
Hence the gorgeous velvet blazer. It's all
Yeah.
making sense to me now. So many light bulbs.
yeah, that wasn't cool to me. But anyway, so I just worked a lot to be able to pay rent and look after myself. And by the age of 18, I had, my first band together, and started just in a cover band, and went from there. Because back in those days in the 80s, especially in Australia, the venues for cover bands were huge, and they were all over the country. It was like the 80s was cover band city. So it was a great way to start creating and getting to know what your voice is going to be like, and writing songs at the same time, and putting a couple of original songs in each set to get them, to test them out. And that's how that all began. But we in the hospital, back to the question, Courtney, because it was a good question, is you must have heard of the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill?
Yes. That's
Okay.
so weird. I just reread that like a month ago. That's bizarre.
Well, I had fans and family, especially my Auntie Jan. I always loved her. She is a psychiatrist, and she said, look, I know that you're in agony, but you seem almost suicidal. I know that you can't move your body, and had all these long operations. She said, but I'm going to get you some audio books that I really love to uplift you. And I'm like, okay. I didn't want to listen to anything. You know what it's like when you're oscillating at a certain frequency, and people come in like they're farting daisies. They're so happy.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're like, no.
Not today.
No. So she put on this audiobook, and it was Earl Nightingale, who I'd never heard of, and I'd never heard of Napoleon Hill. And I loved his voice, because being an audio person, he had this deep baritone speaking voice, Earl Nightingale, and he's speaking the book, Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. And I wasn't interested in any of the chapters, but his voice was soothing to me, because why would a girl in her 20s in Australia, a rock singer, be interested in millionaire male entrepreneurs in America in the 1920s? So, but one chapter, the chapter where he talks about his little boy who was born deaf.
Yep.
And he would go into his little infant son's room every night and do these, what he called auto-suggestion, which now we call affirmations.
Yes.
And I just
That
knew.
took me like 20 minutes to figure out what I was reading, by the way. I was like, why does this feel so familiar?
Amazing. And the fact that neuroscientists have proven all this stuff now, but Napoleon Hill just did it because he knew it would work. And his little boy ended up, 30% hearing by the time he went to kindergarten?
Yep.
So he went to a normal hearing school. He ended up being a very wealthy entrepreneur in the hearing aid industry. Anyway, I just said, okay. And so Napoleon Hill said, you've got to emotionalize it, otherwise it won't go into the treasury of your subconscious mind. And it has to be in the now, and it has to be what you want to have happen as if it's already happened. So I said, okay, I'll do an affirmation. I am healed, because I wasn't. I am healed. I know I am. I didn't. I love myself. I am my friend. I didn't love myself. I wasn't my friend. So I thought I've got the perfect affirmation. But like you just said, it didn't work for me. Because when you look at your surroundings and not just the physical agony of your body, and it doesn't matter what sort of pain you're going through, emotional, physical, but with physical pain, the doubting mind is just going to spit out any affirmation you do, because
Right.
the doctors are coming in if you walk again after the next operation, etc. And so I just said, oh, this is rubbish. It's not going to work for me. How can I emotionalize it? And so 2 weeks later, Courtney, what happened, Michelle? What happened? Ooh. I had a full-on spiritual epiphany. Like, it made me feel like there was light everywhere by this idea. Oh my God, I've even written jingles for advertising agencies, which I'd never ever let my band know because it was too uncool. But
Right.
I'd be able to buy new drum sets. Anyway. But I'd sing jingles too. And that's why advertising agencies spend so much on jingles, because they know you can never get that product out of your head. You don't have to emotionalize it, I said to myself. If it's a jingle, I'm just going to write myself some little affirmation jingles. So I got a little cassette player that I always had in case I had a songwriting idea to sing a song down. And so I just pressed record. I got someone to, because I still couldn't move. I am healed, I know I am. I love myself, I am my friend. And I sang it over and over again till I filled up the 60-minute cassette, and I played it all the time with a little headset. And it just, now we know what it was. It's the lyrics go into the left side of the brain. That's the affirmations. The melody, even if it's just a cappella, goes into the right side of the brain. Now they've proven it goes into your brain, your subconscious mind, 300 times faster than speaking it, writing it. And you don't have to even sing it. You just have to listen, because that's all I did after I'd sung it. And so that is how affirmation power rock and pop songs became millions of people downloading them all over the world. And even Bob Proctor ended up writing them with me. And that's why all these people wanted me to sing the affirmations at these big, huge things. I couldn't believe that there was a world like that. I didn't know about seminars or motivation or anything like that.
So this opened up like a completely new can of worms for you.
Absolutely.
And it was by accident.
By accident. I had no intention of ever having, because I ended up getting out of the hospital and getting one of my best friends and keyboard player and bass player, John Beatty, to help me write more songs and to go into the studio. And we wrote and recorded lots of affirmation songs, but just for us.
Yeah.
Because I said, if this works for this miraculous healing, imagine what it can do for our success in the band. But then the media found out about my healing. And then because I was in the media and rock magazines and stuff, so then promoters who do Deepak Chopra and all those people who I'd never heard of either, they came to me and they said, could you sing your affirmations at this event? And I went, no, it's not for the public.
Because this was before everyone blew up too.
Yeah. And so they said, no, we'll pay you $5,000 just for each city. And I went, what? Because I mean, even though we made good money, the band made $200 each a month. Wow. Because it all went to the road crew, and we had to hire, back in those days, you had to hire huge, big double four-way sound systems, the truck, the agents, all that sort of stuff. So you were all, I mean, it was amazing. The last person
paid.
Yeah, it was amazing that I could even manage to give the band $200 each, And so I was like, oh my God, yeah. So I said to my band, look, I'm not going to, even though I'm healed, I'm not going to, we've been rehearsing, just wait a month, because I'm going to do this whole tour and I'm getting paid all this money and it'll really help us. And so the first gig was with Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Stuart Wilde and Tony Alessandra. And I didn't know who any of them were. And it was in Adelaide in Australia, and it was a Wednesday. And 3,000 people showed up, and they all had paid $350 each back in the 80s on a Wednesday.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what in the F is going on? I couldn't believe it.
That's an insane amount of money in the 80s as well. What would
Yeah.
that be comparable to today for the younger generation listening? That would be what,
Couple of
$600-700? Oh,
No.
oh, really?
Oh, yeah, a couple of grand.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, Tony Robbins charges, what, 10 grand or something these days,
Yeah.
which is outrageous. But anyway, I won't go there.
Insanity. Yeah.
But anyway, and they said you can sell, you know, you can make CDs and sell them at the back of the room. And I said, CDs? I said, even my stuff's just on, even with Time Warner, we're still on cassette. No, CDs. And I was like, oh, it's the 80s. And so I made 500 CDs to sell at the back of the room of the affirmation songs that we had recorded, but not
Right.
for the public. And I was like, oh, this is outrageous. I said to the guys, what am I doing? And because I said, I'll bring my band, right? And they went, no, just haven't you got backing music from when you recorded it? And I went, yeah. And they said, well, just play that. And I was like, what? So I'm just going to be on my own. So I got the lyrics to the affirmation songs put up on a big screen because there's not many words in one of the affirmation songs, had them blast the music, got everybody up on stage who wanted to dance and sing along. And by lunchtime the first day, all the CDs were sold out. And I was blown away because I thought I'd replicated far too many.
Yeah.
And then Deepak Chopra and all these people were saying, we want to work with you overseas. And then Bob Proctor, when I did a gig with him in Sydney, through a promoter, he didn't want a singer, but after the seminar, he said, I've never heard anything like this. We all teach about affirmations. This way, he said, you've sung 2 affirmations. I know the lyrics. I know the melody. I want you, him and his wife said, I want you to work with me all over the world, starting now. And he offered me this big money to do seminars and everything. And I couldn't. I had to give my band at least 6 months' notice or the wives would have killed me.
Right.
So that's how it started. It was insane.
Gosh.
It was insane.
Talk about the universe being like, yeah, no, we're going this way. Oh my goodness. And so what did that transpire into? Because I know you said that you did end up coming overseas. So later on down the road, did you continue to do both for a while? Or after a while, did you feel like the rock wasn't aligning anymore? Or was that always like a piece of you?
No. I ended up living in Kuala Lumpur and left the band and still was writing rock songs, but now everything was positive. Yeah. And I started producing all of Bob Proctor's, his talks, and I would write a song to go with each topic, and he loved it. And I started reproducing some of the stuff he'd done because I've been in the studio as an engineer with my band and producing for years, so I knew what I was doing in the studio. But then I still started writing other songs, and I would just hire really great session musicians and put them in the studio with me and get hit records that way. And then I would get, especially in Asia, you go on a TV show and they say, oh, we've got dancers for you. And I'm like, what? And they've already rehearsed it. They've already rehearsed it. So these little boys come out in little board shorts and they're like doing this uncool dancing behind me. Like, it's
my gosh.
funny, so funny. But anyway,
me of like the Beach Boys.
yeah. And so, my song isn't even like that. And so, one gig I did there, I had 50,000 people come to a gig.
Oh, wow.
It was insane. But what happened was I was running Bob Proctor's business because he loved that I knew how to promote, and I made his seminars. I'd get musicians and dancers at his seminars too, which he'd never dreamt he would ever do, but it was amazing. We did the World Trade Center in Kuala Lumpur quite a few times and in Singapore and different cities in Asia. And then in the end, I said to him, and, other people were hiring me to do, and I started speaking and writing books and getting really deeply into mysticism.
Right.
And that's when I decided to go searching for an enlightened teacher. and to quit all of everything to find God. And so that's what I was talking about. The biggest change was that.
Yeah. Wow. And how old were you when that happened? When you were like, I'm committing to this 1,000%?
28, I think.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
still so young. I feel like everything happened so fast. It was like this whirlwind of a life that happened. So, and then how old were you when the accident happened?
Oh gosh, 24.
I'm just like timelining in my brain here a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, 24, I think.
Oh my gosh. And so with the writing, did it come pretty natural because you already
Oh,
obviously are very much in your left brain? So
no, right brain and left brain, both, equally, because as a songwriter, the melody and the lyrics come to me together. And that's why I've always got to sing it down really quickly.
Oh,
Like
okay.
one of my hit records over there was called We Found Love. I wrote in 6 minutes. Went into the studio, hired a few musicians, got on the keyboards, and finished it by that night. And the next month it was number one. So, so I love songwriting. Just love it. I mean, I've got so many songs, so many albums, and it's just I love doing it in all these different genres as well. Because when it's affirmation songs, it's different with the rock pop music. That's always
Right.
sort of a wheelhouse that I'm used to. But when I do the affirmation songs, it's so much fun because I can do any sort of genre. I can do, reggae, rock and roll, anything. So I do all different types of genres depending on the affirmation, whether it's about being a magnet to money, success, being, affirming that everyone is strong and beautiful. Whatever the affirmation is, the genre just comes to me like, dum, dum, dum. It's going to be reggae. That's going to totally be reggae. That's the lyric for a reggae song. So it's a lot of fun to create in that way. And as I said, millions of people have downloaded my music globally, but especially the Magnet to Money song. That's huge everywhere. Everyone uses it. You go to YouTube, you hear a Magnet to Money song, people just get it and just start making videos for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of them, I don't know who any of those people are, but anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, now you have so many people like Manifestation Babe and like all the people who are teaching these tools, and Deepak Chopra, obviously, but like all these different staples within it. How did you separate yourself from all of that when it got more popular over the past 10 years?
Well, I went off the grid when I found an enlightened teacher. I went off all social media, stopped gigging and everything because it took 14 years to find her.
Yeah.
Because there's not many enlightened teachers in the world at any one time, let alone ones that will actually teach and speak English.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked for 14 years. I was going over to Japan all the time, hearing, someone said that there's an enlightened teacher. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. And so I found one in America, 10 years younger than me, beautiful young woman. And I was blown away. Tears were coming up. I felt my tingles on the top of my head. And I knew I'd found my teacher. The teacher and student always find each other if they're sincerely searching.
Yes.
And so I wasn't thinking about doing any of my other stuff. I just wanted to be anonymous and just go into meditation deeply with her for 12 years.
Wow.
And so it was only 14 years ago that I had an awakening myself, 15 actually, and full-on awakening. And it took me about 2 years to get myself able to communicate with the world or even do anything. And then she ended up giving up teaching, and so I took it over. But only after 2 years of experimenting and I just, because I'd been on stage all my life, I could turning teaching meditation and mysticism into something fun and joyful. So I started re-releasing my affirmation music, started doing a lot of videos about tons of different mystical topics. But even things like how I taught myself how to write a book when I couldn't even type. So I started doing courses, online courses, and selling lots of different things from my own experiences. And
Yeah.
it just started building up and building up. And then when lockdown happened, because everyone was coming from overseas, all my students, to see me twice a year in America, because I'd moved to America living there then. And then when lockdown happened, we ended up getting, like a big home studio and doing huge amounts of big Zoom events, which I do for free all the time. And so that
That's
just
so
keeps,
amazing.
yeah, it just keeps building up. Celebrities, doctors, dentists, you name it, learning meditation, learning mysticism, lots of different people just wanting to have a better life, and just, I do it in a very irreverent way. I remember I was a
Right.
rock singer, So I love to teach it in a way that is light. I always say kiss, mwah. Keep it simple and spiritual. Let's not get complicated.
Yeah. Well, you have this personality that's just so alluring and like comforting, and you feel so safe with you just instantly. And so I could totally see anyone and everyone wanting to learn from you. I started doing this thing on the podcast, and it's been really incredible just to hear audience feedback on it. But I feel like a lot of people get paralyzed, and they have these goals, they have the purpose, but they don't know how to take the action with it. And the manifestation, they get stuck because, exactly like you were sharing with, they can't get to that emotional space that you need to feel. If you had to give them 3 things to just go and really go after where their life purpose, their dharma, whatever you want to call it, what would those 3 things be that you've seen?
Well, first of all, you have to make a decision that you want to get out of the rabbit hole and you want to have a change.
Yeah.
And so once you do that, I'm going to give a lot of free stuff away today so that they can go through and experiment with this simple stuff, that just listening to the songs and the affirmations. So first of all, I'm going to gift that. But
Thank you.
before you even listen to anything I've got or anything, making a decision and then having a good look at yourself and saying to yourself, whenever you hear yourself complaining, please understand, you're not a bad person, you're just in fear. And to stop complaining. And if you can stop complaining for 28 days, 30 days, whatever it is you choose to, your life will change. And even if you're halfway through a complaint about someone or something, if you can stop yourself, that's being mindful, and say, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And ask yourself the question, what am I afraid of losing that I've got? Or what am I afraid of not getting that I want? Because once you become aware of what it is you're fearful about, well, then the fear dissipates very, very quickly. And your oscillation, your frequency will go a little faster. And every time your frequency goes a little faster, that vibration, you feel better. You start seeing possibilities and things you couldn't see before. And so I highly recommend doing that. And another really simple thing you can do, because a lot of people don't know actually what they want. They'll just say, I want more money, I want more this, but they're not specific about what a beautiful life looks like to them. So I suggest you write down, thank you, divine, if you don't believe in the word divine, thank you, love or life, sweetest little life, for my beautiful, beautiful, sweetest little life. And then think, if I was really sincere about thank you for my beautiful, awesome life, what does that look like to me? Where am I living? What am I driving? What am I doing to uplift others? Where am I not being compassionate where I could feel good about being compassionate? How do I even become compassionate? And it might be just something like, oh my God, I've got to declutter my house. That's one of the things that will make me feel like I've got a more beautiful life. So that's 3 things I think that they could do that would help them tremendously. And it's easy to do and it's free.
Yes. Yes. And then you made something, and it totally made my brain go to left field here with the complaining, which I know is a lot easier said than done, right? Especially if we're in that pattern. One, I've heard so many different people say different time frames for breaking a habit. I've heard 28 days. I've heard 62 days. In your opinion, with the experience that you have, how long does it really take to reprogram the subconscious mind into thinking differently?
Well, if you're doing it, something that's become a habit, like complaining,
Yes.
to reprogram the subconscious mind through the music, I'm not just saying it, it's really, really fast.
Okay.
You just listen to those songs.
Okay.
You're going to get a lot of them for free today, but you just listen to them. But with something like this, where it's you that has to do it, you have to be mindful.
Right.
So to be aware of that is challenging. So it depends on the person. But the thing is, to do it consistently every single day for 28 days. The first time I decided out of the blue, I just said, "Oh, I'm complaining. I've got nothing to complain about." And I just decided to stop complaining. I was living in Malaysia at the time and my life was heavenly. And I said, "Okay, I'm just going to stop complaining for 21 days." And I made it to 20 days, and then I did a complaint on 20 days, and I was like, "Wow, what am I doing?" It's like, I've done so many courses, Ogmandino's things, and just I've done the Course in Miracles, and I know how important it is to do it consistently. So I
Yeah.
did it again and made it to 21 days. And then I didn't feel that that was enough, so I did it for another week.
Okay.
Yeah, and it left me. And even if a complaint was even oscillating a little bit, I'd go, no, stop that, knucklehead.
We're not doing that today.
Yeah, but the thing is, you've got to do it consistently every day. Even if you're halfway through a complaint, the amount of energy and power you get from stopping yourself, because most people think once that negative thought's up, they want to say it out loud to somebody or whatever, because they say, like, it's already come out of the chute, I can't stop it. Yes, you can. You can stop it. You can stop complaining. You're about to say something nasty to your loved one. Stop
Yeah.
it. Don't be unkind to other people ever. It's
Yeah.
just not necessary.
Yeah, and same with gossip. Like, I feel like that lowers our vibration quicker than anything, and yet it's so second nature from being, itty bitty to make fun of Susie Jane's loafers, right? Like,
Yeah, and I think it's just being in rock and roll, I didn't come from gossip, because you're
Yeah.
working with guys all the time. Guys don't really gossip. So
Right.
I never had that experience, mean girls type of thing.
Yeah.
Plus, I didn't like negative people ever. I always insisted that our band were, no one was allowed to have beer until the end of the night, even if we were doing 6 sets that night. Because to be really, like I say to people, if you want to have a really successful life, treat your life and your business like a successful rock band. Not a successful rock band that blows out gigs every night because they don't look after their voice and they're on drugs.
Right.
Like, a successful rock band, you have to be so disciplined and you have to be in harmony, every instrument, every voice. Because if one thing's out of harmony, the band's kaput.
Yeah.
Everything's got to be in tune. And so if you can live your life like making sure this area of my life, I know I need to declutter my mind, but I know that my mind won't be decluttered if I'm looking at clutter.
Right.
So that's it's incredibly powerful to be clean.
Yeah. Marie Kondo was really onto something with that one. That book was amazing, though.
Which
for
one
sure.
was that? What was that?
What was it called? Declutter Your Life. But she talks about, like, if items don't bring you joy, to get rid of them, essentially, and then, like, taking care of everything. So, like, socks, instead of just doing laundry and, like, folding them and scrunching them up and throwing them in the drawer, like, take each pair and, like, fold them and know that they keep your feet warm and put them away. It was like teaching you to slow down just a little bit, to have that gratitude for the things that, like, we just take advantage of from day to day that, like, a lot of people don't have.
Well, that's what you learn when you're on the road with the rock band, because you don't have a home. You're on the road all the time.
I get that.
You are very zen with what you've got. One pillow, whatever. Very, very zen. And, you've got to stay in horrible places for the first few years. So you have to change the sheets, paint the cockroaches off the walls.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, no, seriously. If you, in Australia, the way it used to be a female singer, there were hardly any female singers. Me and Chrissy Amphlett from the Divinals, we did more gigs as a female singer in Australia than anyone else because it's so tough because the audiences are rough as well. So you've got to learn how to handle 4,000 drunk Aussies.
Yeah. As a beautiful young woman.
Oh, but I had I was never embarrassed about anything. Show us your tits. Oh, thank you. The operation was a success. Or no, darling, show me yours.
Oh my gosh. I love it. So you've always had that wit and that sass, like,
Yeah,
to
because
come back.
I think the thing is, I've never cared about what other people think of me, ever.
What freedom.
Yeah, so I think that's a big thing. If you're worrying too much about what other people think, you're not understanding that other people are thinking about themselves, not you.
Right.
Oh, Terry
Exactly.
Cole Whitaker, I never read her book, but she wrote a book called What Other People Think of Me Is None of My Business.
I've
And
heard
as
of
far,
that.
and as far as I was concerned, I didn't need to read the book. Just the title was just a blast. It's like, what a satori, how you can get from just that,
Yes.
just the title alone. Brilliant.
I love that. Yeah, that I actually just did a post about that a couple days ago because um in the industry that I'm in, there is like a lot of jealousy that comes in to like try and destroy what I'm doing because I'm trying to help people, right? And I think what's that phrase? Wherever there's light, there's going to be darkness that comes in.
Really?
Yeah.
People are
And
nasty to you?
there's like 5 people. There's like a hate
How
Courtney
is
group
that
for sure.
possible?
So, and so
No,
I'm like,
I mean you're just like this. You've got angel wings. You're just delightful. That's
thank you.
insane. Okay,
So
well they're doing it because it makes you stronger.
yeah,
Makes
but
you
I
stronger.
literally have been repeating that affirmation in my mind is that like it's not your business what other people think of you or
No,
what they say. And it's crazy just that like small tweak of like we logically and cognitively know that, but like when we can just switch and remember like that's like a projection of yourself that has nothing to do with what I'm doing or my journey. And it seems so silly, but like you said earlier, you said, keep it simple. And it's like simplicity has changed my life because we just overcomplicate everything.
mwah. Keep it simple and spiritual. That's it. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Thank you, Prince. I was a
And then
fan.
I love Prince. And
Oh,
then,
me too. See,
oh,
you're an angel.
I love Prince. Yes. Gosh, good songs. So the audience listening, because I know they're going to want to connect with you because you are just contagious as hell. And I can't wait to personally look into the Zooms and courses and all the things that you offer. And I will make sure to put everything in the show notes for everyone as well.
Thank you.
But where can we connect with you if someone's like, I need to talk to this woman right now?
Well, you could just go to Michelle Blood, MicheleBlood. It's my daddy's name. It's not rock and roll. It's Irish, actually. michelleblood.com/sweetest life. You will receive the Magic of Affirmation Power audiobook, which has got tons of affirmations and just real simple explanation about meditation, about affirmations, about visualization, just simple methods. It was the first book I ever wrote. And 3 years ago, I wrote it back in the 80s. And 3 years ago, I animated that book and made it into a beautiful audio book. And you will also get a 6-week, one of my best-selling online courses is 6-week mysticism course. And you get that for free. And it takes you get a video each week, and it takes you through what to do in your home, in your life, not just to declutter your life, but your mind to be more successful. These simple little steps, if people can do them, they will get new energy into their life, into their home, into their car, and all these very, very simple affirmations and different things to say, and they'll get all of that for free. And that's how they can contact me. Just
Okay.
michelleblood.com. I've got tons of websites, but just that one will be fine with /sweetest life.
Thank you so much for just the work you're doing and for your time being on the show today. I know you're going to touch a lot of people. You inspire the hell out of me. So I just thank you very much for being
Well,
here.
anything I can do for you, Courtney, because you're lovely. And just remember that those people are just in fear. It's nothing to do with you at all. They just got their own fears, that's all.
Yeah. Thank
So-
you, Michelle.
Have compassion, but don't talk to them.
Compassion, yes, compassion.
More love.
Oh, you're amazing. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Well, thank
Very,
you.
very, very much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have a takeaway or something from the conversation that really just resonated within your heart center, I would love to hear about it. Please leave it in the comment section so we can give you more of this content. As always, please subscribe, save, and sharing is caring. We love you to pieces. Have a beautiful and blessed day.